It's really pretty, like really, really pretty. But the real question remains, how well does it fuck? Welcome back to Exotic Car Hacks, and today we are talking about how well does the Mercedes SLS AMG Black Series actually drives. That's right, because this is probably, and there is no doubt about this, this is probably one of the best looking cars that has ever come out, not just a Mercedes, but period. I mean, you would think this is good looking, but then here's the other AMG GT Black Series that came out after that. And this car, while it looks really great, really drives and fucks hard. Like, this car drives amazing, like absolutely fucking amazing. It's fast, it handles, it's got tech. It's just a really good fucking car. But what about this? Because this right here, right now, costs almost twice as much as the one that came out after it. Now, it does have a couple of reasons for that, and I think the number one reason why it costs so much is just this, which really makes the car, holy shit. That's the whole point of having a car like this, to showcase to every other guy that's out there why you got a bigger dick.
Boy. That escalated quickly.
Because their girlfriend is going to be sitting right there in that passenger seat because they were driving something basic like a Lamborghini Huracan. And instead, they're riding with you in this. So we get the beauty thing. Like, it's like that beautiful playmate that's absolutely gorgeous. But can she fuck?
I sure hope so.
And this car has, well, it's got problems. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. The problems that make the SLS AMG Black Series perhaps one of the most beautiful and yet not so usable cars out there. So we'll start with the core idea of just the car and using it, and then we'll go for a drive so I can kind of make you guys understand it. This is basically like a 600 grand car, like with different colors. This is probably the best color, I would say, solar beam. Less than 20 of these, you know, in this color. My opinion, the best color for this car. Standard carbon ceramic brakes, carbon interior, B&O sound system is optional. This car has it. It's in immaculate condition. We just got it PPF'd, and it's got roughly about 11,000 miles because I wanted to drive it. I just didn't realize some of the problems that it actually had as a driver's car. And they didn't really have anything to do with the car itself. So I'm going to share some of these with you, because if you're a collector, someone that's been looking to add a really cool car to your collection, this car, I guarantee you, has come on your radar at some point. And I want to point a couple of things out because it's really beautiful and it's really incredible. Like, just look at it. And then look at this. Look at the detail that went into this engine bay. Everything's carbon fiber, from the boxes to the battery cover to the whole front, even the back of the hood. Look at this, pure carbon exposed, just gorgeous. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that this is the prettiest car that Mercedes has ever put out. But, you know, the problems really come in the functionality and the usability. Now, the doors are a plus because they're beautiful, but look at what happens. In order to actually close the doors, now, given that I'm not 6'5" and, you know, like very slender with a really large. But anyway, so you're sitting here and you want to close the door because you forgot to grab the door on the way in. Now you look like an idiot in front of people trying to do this. So that's problem one. But if you didn't know, they actually make straps for these so you can grab the doors down. But then it looks like a Christmas tree, so it's weird. Then there are other issues. This is a 2014. Now, this is important to note because in 2014, Mercedes had other cars, including a C-Class and a bunch of other cars, right? Like, that are all normal. And this is the flagship of fuck you flagships the brand made, right? The best, the fucking greatest track thing. And this infotainment has a significant flaw that I just don't understand. And again, maybe I don't get it, but I just don't get it, like, which is fair because I try to get things and I try to understand them from angles that maybe would have made sense, but this doesn't make sense. So this infotainment system has been put in a bunch of other cars, at which point you had access to a CD player. We saw this before. You had access to a CD changer. We saw this before. And you had access to having your phone connected with Bluetooth. But for some reason, which I can't explain, and maybe one of you guys can in the comments, this car, and no SLS Black Series, because I extensively Googled this shit, has Bluetooth music.
What?
But in 2014, they had Bluetooth music in other Mercedes cars. This is like it's like saying you got a girlfriend that does everything, including anal, but she will not blow you. Like why would the simplest thing not be there if every other girl does it, and this one does so many more things, but it doesn't do that? Now, I know my references don't really make sense sometimes because many of you guys are very young or you're just poor, so you don't understand. But the one thing that, well, yeah, as my videographer said, you could also be gay and driving a Cybertruck, which if you're watching this video, you're probably wanting to puke by now, and it's okay. But anyways, so the problem is that. So that's the first problem, which is truly a problem because it makes it very hard to enjoy shit because none of us have CDs anymore. Now, I have old cars that have CD players, so I have a couple of CDs left, but I'm not interested in listening to fucking TLC from like fucking 20 years ago on my 2014 SLS AMG Black Series that I paid 600 fucking grand for or more, right? It doesn't make sense. And then you get these really useless cup holders here, which I have tried every coffee cup size from Starbucks, and they just don't fit here, which means that if they're too big, they spill over on the carbon. If they're too small, they get lost in here and they shake, so it doesn't work. So it's just basically completely useless, and you might as well close it and leave it like that. So we're going to go for a drive today and really see if the performance, which they tell us is up there, is really as good as the lack of aesthetics you get in exchange, the lack of, I should say, option and features you get in exchange for that performance and design. Now, we know the design's a 10, right? So we know that. But now we really got to see if this car fucks or doesn't. So we're going to go for a drive. We're going to pull this outside. I bought this car primarily as an investment, and so I didn't really intend to drive a lot of miles with it. I think it's a beautiful showcase in a collection, and I think it should be in everybody's collection from just as a design alone. But there are people out there, many of you guys, who want to hack cars, drive cars, enjoy them, and then get rid of them. If you don't know what car hacking is, go in the description, click the link. I have a fully free training there for you so you can actually learn what car hacking is. If you're actually an exotic car owner or want to be, then click the second link and join Exotic Car Hacks. It's cheap. Don't be a brokey. And learn what we basically teach. So you can not only drive cool shit without losing money, but also participate in the community. We even had a really cool rally recently, which was a fucking disaster. We're going to talk about that later. A disaster because I was dying of fucking allergies in this bumfuck hotel nowhere called the Greenbrier. Anyways, that's beyond the point. So what we're talking about is going to be performance in a second. So we're going to take this outside and we're going to really feel that out. But before I take it outside, I want you to hear this in the location because it's cooler. It's very aggressive. And they call this car the German Viper, which is cool because the German Viper has a huge front, and then, like, the Viper itself has a huge front and a small back. And it's basically, so it makes it impossible to put on a lift if it's a two-post. It also makes it really bizarre as a car generally to drive because you have to really account for the amount of top front heavy kind of thing going on and a lot of carbon if you make a mistake. But listen to this. I think this is pretty good. I think it sounds pretty good. You see, hear that? Like, we're now in sport and listen to this. Like, that's pretty impressive, you know? It's a good sounding car from the factory, and it's got a DCT. It's got a dual clutch transmission, which makes it pretty exciting too. So let's go for a drive while we hear our regular radio station, or should I say XM Sirius or radio, because we don't have Bluetooth, and see if this car lives up to the hype. So, you know, the car immediately feels just unbalanced. As soon as you start driving, it's a little bit unbalanced. And I'll tell you what's unbalanced before we even get into the different modes and everything else. It has like 5 modes, from comfort to sport, sport plus, manual, and then RS mode. The main thing to consider here that I think is just important, more than anything else, is that we're in comfort mode now, and the actual pedal has just got a lot of power. So like immediately you already have like a ton of power, and it's really, really good. Like it's really, really pretty. We're gonna roll these up so you can actually hear me, but it's got a lot of power. So the straight power thing, not an issue. Every gear, just insane. I don't know how I feel about the transmission because in comfort mode anyways, it's just all over. It keeps jumping from 7th to 3rd, depending on power weight, whatever, that's fine. So we go to sport, and then something really magical happens. It gets a lot more aggressive. Now the pedal gets a lot more touchy, which is almost too much. Then Sport Plus is like way fucking out of line. It's like way too much. But the car also has this other flaw, and it's around the brakes. The brakes are almost too good for the car. So the transmission's not good enough. The brakes too good, meaning it stops the car too fast. So every little thing makes a lot. And the transmissions just doesn't work for the racing capacity of this car. So it just doesn't really work in that way. Like it just doesn't feel exciting, it just doesn't hit. So we know the transmission's not, they should have tuned it more, done something different with it, or maybe tuned it less, because I've always argued that the SLS as a car is an excellent car. Now it's not for everybody, but it's an excellent car as a GT. I don't know about as a race car. And I think the thing that happens with this car is it ends up being almost like, it's almost too racy for what you get out of it. So we're gonna go on manual mode because we're gonna use the paddles now, which I've also stated multiple times that the paddles feel like crap in Mercedes cars because they're just very tiny. So it's the little details that make a difference. When you buy a very expensive car and you have a lot of good going for it, you also get a feeling and a thought about driving it where it's just gotta connect. The car's gotta connect to the road. Other people swear about this, because when I got this car, Andy Frisella sent me a message saying, the best kind of car. And we differed in opinions, even on the AMG GT Black Series. He thought the AMG GT Black Series was absolutely amazing. At first, I really didn't get it. I kept spending time with it, and I was like, I kind of get it. It's a really cool car. It's just not that cool compared to what else you can buy on the market for that. At least it had a Nürburgring record, so it kind of makes sense. But if we look at the history of AMG Black Series cars from the CLK63 to the SL65, there's always significant flaws with all the cars. It's almost like being perfected over time, right? Like it's just this crazy thing where over time it's just much better, but you feel how jerky it is. It just it hesitates too much on the transmission and almost doesn't need a first gear at all. So, for that reason, I'm really not a fan of the transmission, generally speaking. It just doesn't do it for me. It's just not exciting. So personally, definitely not a fan. But what I was saying about the history of these AMGs, the CLK63 barely made any difference in a Black Series model. Basically, it was a car with a body kit. It was fucking terrible. And then they introduced the SL65 Black Series, which was even more extreme and more crazy looking. And honestly, it was a complete piece of shit too, because it needed 14 turns to do a 3-point turn. It just was so bad. But it looks so good. But then they started making body kits for them, and everyone could afford an SL anyways because it was like a 50K car once it's depreciated. But you feel that every time I hit the brake, it's almost so crazy. It's like the car's fucking on a racetrack, and it's just, and it's just unnecessary. But anyway, so the SL65 was a completely failed car. I think that's why it didn't do that well. They didn't make that many, and they were kind of junk. They were junkers. They're just such a bad car. The interface was shit. And so many people can afford, historically, an SL once it's depreciated, that all the brokies put body kits on them, and then you couldn't differentiate an SL65 Black Series from a fake SL65 Black Series. It was just stupid, and that's kind of the nature for me of even a stupid CLK63, which I think is also really bad. So, you have these cars that are just like the poverty version of their cars, and they don't need a Black Series part. I know some people are disappointed. But it's just reality, right? I know you guys don't like to hear it, but it's just how this shit works. So then comes this other thing, which is kind of like this idea that they keep moving up the ladder and they go, oh, we're going to make things way different. And then you have this car that comes up where the interior is really no different than an SLS. They just added some Alcantara, which is cute and shit, but it's nothing that's like really like magical or exciting or anything. It's just the same interior, some carbon fiber the same way you get it with an SLS, but now you get a really, really stiff suspension, and the car looks amazing on the outside, but the interior still really doesn't like hit any difference, similar to the SL65. And then you have the AMG GT Black Series, which is the newest one, where they really made a difference on the outside. The cooling, the motor's different, every part of it is like different except the interior, but the interior was good to begin with. It had tech, it had nice seats, because the AMG GT is a decently nice car on the inside. It's just not that pretty on the outside. And then they add that Black Series craziness, a better motor, more power, more transmission, and they even win a world record with it. And that, to me, is a good enough proposition for an AMG GT Black Series. Like, that's a great proposition. It's like years and years of shit that didn't work till you get to a car that finally did. But this car, the reason why this car is so important is because this is probably the best and most important investable Black Series because of the gull wing and because the base car in itself is an investment, the SLS. And it's not so reachable by the masses, which makes it spectacular once more. It's a spectacular car without being a Black Series. So the argument is, can the Black Series make it significantly better? Well, I'll tell you what it did do. It made it significantly better looking, not so much like really that much better, because the SLS is fast and this sounds better and it goes a lot faster and it sounds exciting and it drives with a lot of speed and it actually handles decent, but the ride quality is terrible in my opinion. It's terrible around the city and it just needs to be on a racetrack. Otherwise, you're really not getting any benefits from this car other than its beauty. But the AMG GT Black Series is a lot of fun in the street. And that's, I think, the big differentiator between this car and what they perfected in the end. But I've argued this with hundreds of cars, even the GT3 RS, that it's a giant piece of shit because you can only take it on a track. In other words, it's just stupid. And I've argued that over and over and over. And here I am again, arguing this about this car. Great car, not so much for the street, not so much for the opportunity of just enjoyment on a Sunday drive, more so if you're on a track or somewhere where you get to gain a lot of speed. Otherwise, just not so exciting. So would I buy this car as an exotic car to drive on the weekend? Would I buy this car to enjoy as a driver's car or anything? The short answer is no, I wouldn't. There are much better cars you can buy in the 600K range, including a 765 LT that just make more sense. This is what I would recommend, generally speaking, over this particular car. That's what I would recommend more than anything else over a car like this. But nonetheless, very cool car, very exciting and well done. And for that reason, I think that it's a very exciting proposition as an investment, not so much as an actual driving car or driving phenomenon on the road, because there are many, many better cars, not many better looking cars, but many better cars you can buy for that money. And I've argued 765 is an incredible type of driving experience that's cheaper than this by like over 100 grand, regardless if you get a special car or not. I'd say the 720S is even a better investment, so that by itself is also exciting. So there's just so many cars on every front, from Porsches to Ferraris to anything, that just give you a better feeling. I would argue even an AMG GT Black Series is a better driving car than this, but as an actual design, as an investment, as the specialty of what it is, I think this is by far the best Black Series when it comes to that, but not so much the best Black Series to drive. And that's where I kind of ended. Shitty transmission, not enough interior improvements, and just not that much fun on the street itself. But one hell of a good looking car, so you got to think of her like the playmate that just, while she fucks on a good day, doesn't fuck every day. And this has been my review of the SLS AMG Black Series. And, my view is, again, if you want more real information like this to use on your day-to-day, you know, comparing cars to women and everything that comes with it, subscribe, turn on notifications, and of course, just leave me a comment. And it's okay if you think I'm gay, that's fine too. But if you, on the other hand, again, hate content like this and really think, you know, I'm just not cool, that's okay too. You don't have to be on the channel. You don't have to actually watch anything we do here at Exotic Car Hacks. But there is a guy out there that appreciates it. And for that guy, I appreciate you guys watching. See you guys next time on Exotic Car Hacks.